Hi everyone, Chris here from Min's Kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make a brioche orange custard pudding. So we're going to be making the custard using brioche for the base of our bread pudding, and I'm also going to show you how to segment an orange. First up, we've got our brioche. Now you can buy this in a number of ways. You could get a panettone, which is around at Easter and Christmas time. And I'll often buy them when they go on sale and pop them in the freezer, take them out of the box because they're in big boxes, and put them in the freezer. And that way you've always got them. So they are fruit based. You can get them plain, but mainly fruit based. This one here is just from the supermarket, and it's brioche. You can buy it in a sliced loaf, which I couldn't get yesterday, but I got last week, and it has about 10 slices in it. So that will do you two bread custards. But this one I've got, it happens to be little chocolate brioche rolls. So I'm just going to cut those up. I'm going to put the camera down so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll get ready to do the orange. Okay, so let's turn this light off. Now hopefully you can see me because it's come over dark, so it's a bit of a nuisance. But anyway, I've started, so I'll continue. Here we go. So with the bread, so this can be, as I said, panettone or brioche. This happens to have chocolate chips in it. Chocolate and orange are a match made in heaven, so that's quite nice. Or you can just do the plain brioche and put that to the side. I'm going to pop that back in this dish because we're going to do 2 layers. And if you buy them when they're on special, a little bit stale, that's perfect because you want them to be able to suck up the custard when we put it together. So always buy when they're on special, and a nice brioche loaf will cost you about $3. So it's a very, very cheap dessert to make. And always buy your cream when they've just said that it's going to, like the date is just about coming out of date. All right, make sure your knife is sharp, as we always say, and then wipe it once you've sharpened it. And we take 1 orange. Now what I'm going to do is I've already washed this, so I'm actually going to take some of the zest and I'm going to put that into my cream. So here I have one cup of cream, which we're the start of our custard. But what I'm going to do is zest straight into that. So I only want about half the zest of this orange. It's quite strong, the zest of an orange, and lemon and lime. And you'll see as you start to zest it with a fine grater, the smell is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And with limes, oh gosh, I think it's the best smell ever. Now I'm doing it with the grater up this way because I can see how much I'm getting. And we want about a teaspoon, a little bit more. And there we go. So I've done about half. Tap that in to your cream. And now we're ready to segment our orange. Take the top and the bottom off, and maybe have a little bowl to put the pieces in. Pop those in there. And now we're going to take the knife and we're going to follow the curve of the orange. So start at the very edge of the pith, like that, and then curve the knife around, going almost right underneath it, like that, you see? And then you start at the next part where the white pith is, and you just keep going around, always starting where you finished off. And you should be able to get all that pith off. But if you leave a little bit like that, that's fine, just go back over it. Lost the plot now. Okay, put that in the bowl, out of the way so you can see. So we've got a couple of little bits there that we can just trim off. The white pith is quite bitter, so we don't want that in our pudding. All right, and now hopefully you can see that here we have the segments. So between this part here and this part here, that will be a lovely segment. And you just keep going around just inside that membrane and flick it out. And that's why you need to have a very sharp knife. Not a big knife, just a very sharp knife. Keep going all the way around. And you'll get sort of, it depends on the size of the orange of course, but 8 to 10 segments. And this is delicious to do it this way if you're going to have a salad, like an orange and fennel salad or something like that. This is the way you do it. And you can see all that membrane is being left behind. Peel it off. Once you know how to do this, it is quite quick. And the last one here, take that. The last one's always a little bit harder. Take that away. All right, we'll bring our dish forward. And what we're going to do is pop some of the orange segments in amongst our bread pudding, and then we'll save the last few to go on top. And then with the juice, we're not going to waste that. There's quite a bit of juice in here. So just squeeze that over your brioche. And I'll just pop those segments in a cup. And we'll put those on top after. Get rid of that, just wash my hands. Get rid of the rubbish. All right, and now it's as simple as making your custard. So we have 1 cup of cream and 1 cup of milk, and sorry, half a cup of milk, 1 cup of cream, half a cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of orange zest in here. The reason we use cream and milk is this is quite a rich bread. It's made with lots of butter and sugar, so it is quite a rich one. So I try and lessen the amount of extra fat that we put in. Then I've got just 1 tablespoon of sugar. That could be caster sugar, it could be golden caster sugar, it could be raw sugar. Doesn't matter. Into the custard. So you make it a French custard here, so you'd be very qualified. And then we have 2 large eggs. Crack those in. Always have a rubbish bowl on your bench. It saves you a lot of running around. And then you just need a whisk. And notice I've got it in a jug that is a litre, so it's got plenty of room to whisk the custard together. You need to break up those egg yolks. Whisk it all together. And then the last little part of this is the butter. And with the butter, we have 50 grams of butter and we have 1 tablespoon of marmalade. And the marmalade I use is this French one that you can buy in Woolies and Coles, I assume. And it's not as sweet as some of the marmalades. So it's a good one to use. I'm going to melt this together in the microwave, just quickly. Cover it so you don't end up with butter all over your microwave. Pop that in. I'm just giving it 30 seconds. Wipe down my mess. Try and keep yourself tidy as you go because it makes for a lot less stress when you're cooking. And when you've used ingredients, as we've said before, always try and have your ingredients ready to go. And then when you've used the ingredients, so if you've used spices or whatever, put it to the side and then you know you've done it. I have forgotten things so many times because I'm always doing more than one job at a time. And then I think, oh, I didn't add that. Oh, I didn't add that. So it's good to have everything out ready to go. Let's get our butter needs a little bit more because it was straight from the fridge. Give it another 20 seconds. And then we'll be pouring our butter and our marmalade mixture over the first layer of the brioche. And then we're going to pack in the next layer. Now when you're melting, especially in the microwave, always sort of leave a little bit that's not melted because that will melt now as we stir it through. The other thing I need to get out is a baking pan. And at this stage, I forgot to tell you, make sure you put your oven on at 180. Boil a kettle, fill a kettle with water and put it to the boil. I'll just quickly do that. You'll need this because we're going to cook in what's called a bain-marie. Okay, kettle is on. Now we've got our butter and our marmalade, and we're just going to spoon that over our brioche. So never throw out your stale brioche, that's enough for now. We'll put the next layer on, or we can pour half the custard on. Now one of the admin tells me that on YouTube you can slow down the video and even have subtitles. I haven't worked out how to do that, but I'm told it's good. So now we're just going to add in the rest of the brioche. And you want it a little bit gnarly looking so that the top pieces actually get lovely and crispy in the oven. So that's that. And then we pour on the last bit of our marmalade and butter. Like so. And then we pour on the rest of our custard. So this is a real custard. And we're going to push that down with a spoon so that the brioche soaks up the custard. Just press it down a little bit. You don't want the brioche to be dry on the top, and then we can lift it up a little bit again. So just make sure that gets down to the bottom. Make a bit of room there. Pour on the remaining. And there we go. So then you can just lift up a few pieces. Turn them over so it looks a bit rustic. You don't want it flat. And you can see those little bits of chocolate, they'll melt. All right. And now we'll pop in the last of our orange segments. You're basically trying to make sure that sort of every serve will get a little bit of orange. Share the love. All right. Now, we have some demerara sugar. If you don't have demerara sugar, don't go and buy it just for this pudding. You could use just the raw sugar or golden caster sugar. This has texture to it, so it gives a nice crunchy top. So just sprinkle that. Whoops, not all in one place, like that. Sprinkle it over. It's just 1 tablespoon. that has now sunk down, and we can put the remainder of that little bit of cream. There we are. Beautiful. All right. What we need now is a pan, and the pan needs to be large enough so that you can lift out the pudding once it's cooked. So we put this in here, and you can see I've got lots of room to be able to get this pudding out. I'm now going to put boiling water down the side of the pan to come halfway up our dish. So pour that in. What this will do is warm the dish, and then it will help with the very, very gentle cooking process. And that's called a bain-marie. I could actually put a little bit more in there. There we are. Now we don't cover it. We want it to be beautifully golden brown when it comes out of the oven. So what did I say? How long? I think I got here 25 minutes. So I'm going to pop that in. I'm going to open the oven door. If I didn't use a bain-marie and I just put this straight into the oven, then the eggs would curdle and you'd have a very eggy flavour. So very carefully take this to your oven. And then set your timer for 25 minutes. And I will come back in 25 minutes. Okay, 25 minutes later, and we've got the pudding out of the oven. Now, it's a good idea, I'll just turn the camera down so that you can see. It's a good idea to just leave it to stand in the pan for 5 minutes and then lift it out. Otherwise, the dish is just far too hot for you to lift out. So we'll just take a cloth, like so. Make sure you've got a good grip of it and out, so don't be lifting it too far, and then you can tip that away. So that's the hardest part, is getting it out of the bain-marie. Now, I'm not sure I told you the size of this dish. So this dish was 750 ml, so 3 cups. So as I said, you know, it's important to measure and make sure you've got the right size dish, because obviously you can see that I've filled it right up. Now you can also see that the custard's not runny. It looks beautiful, it's lovely and set, and not curdled. So if I turn this around, you can see at this end that custard looks beautiful. Just in these parts here, you can see that it's all set. So when I looked, when it came out of the oven, it was just slightly runny, but just leave it to stand for 5 minutes and it will settle. So that did take 35 minutes. So if you take it out after 25 minutes and it's not quite there, it's still quite runny in the middle, give it another 5 minutes. But don't just pop it back in for 10, because then you'll overcook it. So always on the cautious side. But there is your brioche orange chocolate pudding. And I hope you enjoy that. And I think that, you know, with ice cream, that would be beautiful, or cream, or just on its own. Enjoy. See you next time.